Coming up, we're going to talk about Venu Sports, plus also the future of 911 Lonestar. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's time for a quick Disney Plus news roundup. So let's start off with talking about a brand new streaming service, which is set to launch later this year in the United States, called Venu Sports. This is a collaboration between Disney's ESPN, you've also got Fox and Warner Bros. Discovery in here. And this is going to be giving lots of live sports through a number of different channels, including ESPN, Fox, TNT Sports, and also includes ESPN Plus in here. So they've now announced that it's going to be launching at the price of $42.99 a month. You can also lock it in if you pre-order for 12 months at that price. There's a 7-day trial, and you're going to be able to leave it anytime you like. I suspect that price will continue to rise like anything. Now, this new streaming sports service will have all the, like I said, all the content that you get from those different channels. It's not going to include all the live sports from Comcast or Paramount, so you're still going to need to access them in order to access some of the sports. But this kind of brings things together, and obviously it's a lot cheaper than if you're maybe getting like YouTube TV or cable or something along those lines, and you're just kind of interested in having sports. Now, this one's a little bit of a strange little service. It is actually going to be available as a bundle with both Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max, so you can better get all of them together. No word on what the pricing of that is. We also don't yet know when this one is officially going to launch. Originally, we were expecting it to launch in time for the NFL season. Now, the pre-games will be starting in, like, I think, a week or two. We're not that far away. And, yeah, that's not seemed to be happening. There are some, court issues with the launch of the service. Venu Sports have been trying to get an injunction to stop it. Also, there's regulatory issues that might come about of whether or not it is deemed appropriate that they can launch this. And I think overall this is a really weird product because I just don't get who this is for. Sort of generally linear television is dying, and this feels a little bit like a stopgap to try and get a little bit of extra money on the way out. And it's going to be, I don't know, pretty bare bones, just a load of live channels and some ESPN content. Is that about it? Maybe some on-demand content from TNT. I mean, Warner Brothers have also just lost NBA rights, so they're not going to have it, but I suppose, if they might have other stuff on there, maybe like AEW or something like that. But this is just a very strange service, and I'm not sure. They're saying they're going to estimate 5 million subscribers. Well, no other streaming live ones has anywhere near that one. I'm just not convinced this is going to work. Also, Disney are launching a full version of ESPN Anyway, which is going to be direct to consumer, and that'll also be available within Disney Plus. I just don't know. I mean, is this just kind of something that they're sort of throwing against the wall, seeing if it will work? I also wouldn't be surprised if this does work, and maybe maybe Disney will drop Hulu Live TV and kind of focus on Venu Sports as the kind of main thing. Maybe they want two different live TV services. It's all a bit like, why is that's the view to me. I'm just not convinced this is going to have enough subscribers to warrant the cost that they're going to put into it. But who knows? I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, it's that kind of question as well. If you're paying $42 a month, you're going to get access to some channels. You get ABC and some other things. But why not just pay, another $15-20 a month more and get YouTube TV, and then you're going to get all the other channels as well that aren't. I don't know. If you're going to have, it's like, I don't quite get what the point of it is. It just feels a little bit of a weird one, and It's like it maybe fits now, but in the long term, how is this really going to work? Live sports are still very much a thing that's needed for television. But I don't know. I'm just not convinced this is something that's really going to work. But it's just like these free studios just coming up with an idea of going, well, we'll just do this thing. We're going to do it as bare bones as possible, because we know cable's dying, and this might just keep us going with a little bit extra cash for a little bit longer. Don't know, but that's my thoughts on it. It does seem a bit weird, but let me know what you think of the idea of Venu Sports. Is it something that you'd be interested in? Is it not? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. Shifting gears now, let's now talk about Japan, because it's been revealed today that Japan Airlines is now offering a number of Disney Plus originals on their in-flight entertainment for both domestic and international flights. So if you're heading into Japan, you're now going to have a selection of Disney Plus originals to watch, including Loki, Mandalorian, Lady and the Tramp. This kind of follows into what earlier this year when I did a flight to Vancouver on British Airways, we had a number of selection of Disney Plus originals. I think this is good all the way around for these kind of things to be on airlines. you're a captive audience, you want to watch something, you're much more likely to maybe to start watching maybe The Mandalorian or Loki and kind of go, okay, I'll watch this when I get home, I'll subscribe. That was kind of cool. I actually did that. I think it was actually Succession was one for me. A year or so ago, did a flight, watched like 2 episodes, and then when I got back I wanted to watch the rest of the series, so I subscribed to Now to kind of get access to that. So yeah, I have done that myself, and I think that's a good thing. Also, as additional revenue as well for Disney, bringing extra cash in for originals. Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense for them to do so, putting movies on planes and shows and stuff. Nothing new, but just a nice little bonus there if you're heading off to Japan. But let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Shifting gears now, let's now talk about another Disney Plus original which is going to be able to reach a larger audience, and that is Jim Henson's Idea Man, because Disney has announced it's going to be broadcast on ABC on August the 11th at 8:30 p.m. and it's part of The Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights. So obviously if you haven't seen this documentary, and maybe you haven't got Disney Plus, great way of watching it, which is a bigger audience. It's a fantastic documentary. Definitely would recommend people check it out. And just nice to see this kind of stuff happening. I think we're going to see more of this, and it makes sense from Disney's point of view to take advantage of content, putting it out on their linear networks and on their streaming service, getting both, getting money from advertising for both, especially in the summer when there's not as many new shows and things out. Just makes sense to me. But let me know, are you going to be checking it out, or have you already checked it out? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the movie in the comments below. Let's now talk about 911 Lonestar. So the show is going to be returning for its 5th season later this year on Fox. And this is kind of like a weird show that's kind of... It's still part of the deal that got made between 20th Century Studios and Disney and Fox, and when they all kind of, merged and demerged and all this kind of thing. So Fox was still licensing content from 20th Television, and they've still got loads of things on there. You've got Family Guy, you've got, you had 911, but they cancelled it, and then ABC picked it up, pulled it back, and it's been a huge hit. So the big question is going to be what's going to happen with 911 Lonestar? So last year it got delayed because of all the strikes. They weren't ready for it. It got bumped back to next year. It'll be returning in September, and obviously it's available then the next day when after it airs on Fox, on Hulu, and Hulu on Disney Plus. And internationally, 911 Lonestar, like here in the UK, is also exclusive to the platform, so it's a way of watching it. Never really got into it. 911 was a bit of an odd one for me. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I'm a little bit hot and cold on that one. But recently, there's been a lot of talk about whether or not this show is going to come to an end. Obviously, Fox doesn't seem to be wanting to spend a lot of money now licensing expensive shows from 20th Television, because it's trying to move away, doing its own thing. And obviously, as shows get a little bit later into later seasons, they start getting more expensive to make. And so, yeah, there's a lot of questions over it. And also, apparently, they're recently wrapped, and Rob Lowe took part in an interview for Variety, and he was asked about the future of the series, and he said, "We all went in pretty much knowing that this is going to be the last season, so that affected everything we did. We really wanted to show everyone what is still possible in network television if people have the appetite for it. It feels like it's probably the end of an era of a certain type." Well, it doesn't feel like it. It's the end of an era of a certain type of show we had an opportunity to make, and I think they're great. We wanted to go out making our case for the value of shows like this, and I think it's a really good job. The stories that we're able to tell on a weekly basis in terms of scope and scale, they're probably the thing that I'm most proud of. They were truly like mini movies every week. And I think this kind of feels like the idea of setting the tone, setting fans' expectations, letting people know that, and kind of getting ready for the news that it's not being picked up. Also, it kind of might also rev people up to kind of get excited about it, kind of talking about the show, maybe encourage ABC then pick this show up as well, and kind of think, oh, well, we got a spot in our schedule, we could do this, it could work, the ratings are good, we'll do it. But I do think Fox is just going to bail on this show because I don't think they want to spend that money on it. The question is ABC going to pick it up? The trouble is Disney is drastically cutting back on the amount of general entertainment content it wants, and it can probably make a cheaper show or a brand new one with, different casts and stuff. I don't know, it's a little bit odd. I do think this one's probably coming to an end. We're seeing this with a lot of these kind of legacy shows, but we're also seeing this big shift with, we've seen all these like weekly like Monsters of the Week, that kind of thing, where those shows have kind of died off. We're not seeing as many of them being released anymore. Everything's kind of becoming shorter limited series on streaming. Yeah, it's kind of 911 Lonestar. These kind of shows that were on linear are becoming less and less, so it will be interesting to see what happens with it. I still think there's a market for this. I still think it works, and I don't think you always want you know, 6-8 episodes of one story. You know, you can have something a little bit longer, just individual story, just get in, get out, lots of different options and stuff. But I don't know, I think if them going into it expecting it to be the last one, hopefully they've kind of wrapped up the stories and done all that. And if it does get picked up, they've got options. Maybe they filmed like 2 endings or something like that. But yeah, I kind of get this feeling that they are expecting this to be the end of the road for 911 Lone Star. But let me know, is this a show you've enjoyed? Is it not? And obviously you can watch previous episodes from the previous 4 seasons on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus in the US and on Disney Plus around the world. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our question today, which comes from Goon Camp, who says, with Disney and BBC wanting to continue their relationship, do you see BBC iPlayer possibly merged into Disney Plus? So this was a really interesting one. So I think there's a way of looking at this in 2 different ways. So first off, outside of the UK, it's possible, you know, Disney could do a deal with the BBC to license their content into it. It's very much possible, but I think there's a big problem here. And so here in the UK, it could never happen. And that is because this is a public platform. It works very differently and than anything that you might know, especially for our like audiences outside of the UK. So with the BBC, it's owned by like the government and stuff, and we all have to pay a TV license. Whereas I think I pay about like £30–40 every quarter now. I do it on a direct debit. And if you watch live television, you have to have it. So even if you are watching sports on Netflix or something like that, you would have to have it. Up until recently, it was literally a criminal offence. If you didn't have a TV license, you could end up getting fined and even go into prison. It was pretty serious. They kind of took that element away from it. A lot less people are paying for it. The revenue's dropping down. But TV licenses, basically, you know, if you aren't paying it, they will send you letters and stuff, and they can come to your house and ask to sort of check stuff and things like this. There was always like the big boogeyman story that, you know, they had machines that were cars that would go around the streets and they could detect if you had a deal. And it was like, you know, it was like urban myths and stuff, all this stuff. It works very differently. Like I said, it's a TV license. We are required to have it by law if you live stream. I think even if you are live streaming from like YouTube, you would have to pay for this. And there's just a big debate of how it works. So because it's done by public funding, that's why there's no advertisements and stuff, because we're paying for it. And yeah, it's run by the government. So the idea of them teaming up with an American company goes against every aspect to it. Them teaming up for a couple of shows and doing things like that, they can get away with because it saves money and it's in the, you know, our interest. But yeah, this is a public broadcast system. It could not merge with that one. Now the question is whether or not they were to license out content outside of the US. You know, that could happen. It's very difficult here in the UK. They kind of got a private company like UK Gold and all that stuff that they would license their own stuff to. But I think a lot of it as well, like especially for me with iPlayer, I'm paying my TV license. I should get access to that content through there. That's what I'm paying for. That's how I watch my BBC content. And I always have the view, I'm paying for it, so I'm going to watch. I do watch a lot of stuff on BBC because, yeah, I'm paying for it, so why wouldn't I? Outside of the US, they could do deals. I mean, they've done stuff with BritBox and all the rest of it. I personally think BBC is probably better just going on a case-by-case basis of licensing things out as and when they need it, because not everything is going to hit. You know, Disney might not want everything that the BBC wants, is making, etc. So I think on a case-by-case basis. BBC has tried expanding internationally as well. It's just very tricky for them to do. But I think probably more likely you're going to see just this ad hoc title by title thing rather than a massive deal. It didn't really work really for BritBox. That hasn't really clicked on. And I think we're really seeing now the consolidation where people are only really willing to pay for so many streaming services. And it does feel like Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus are your 3 core ones, and they can then they'll be able to play off the 3 of them and with anybody else joining in to try and get as much revenue as possible. And I think that's where we're really going to see the industry change to. But yeah, definitely can never see this happening. I don't think it just legally could even possibly happen. As I said, it's not even, I don't think it's even possible. But let us know your thoughts on this. Anyway, guys, let us know what you're going to be watching on Disney Plus over the weekend. Obviously, we've got new Planet of the Apes movie. I'm going to be checking that one out. Love to hear your thoughts on that and anything else from today. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe, and I shall see you guys soon. Later.